Welcome back to Midlife Mayhem, the podcast all about midlife and the beautiful chaos it brings. I'm Kim Branham, RN, BSN, and owner of Thin Space Wellness, co-owner of Thin Space Wellness.
You can have it, honey.
This is my sweet husband, Stephen Branham. He is a physician associate, and he is the medical director for a practice in both North Carolina and Colorado. So I finally was able to talk him into joining me on the podcast this morning. It's 3:30 in the morning.
Bribery.
Yeah, it works. So I just wanted to take a few minutes on this podcast. This is episode 13.
Wow.
And I want to thank all of you who have listened. I have so many patients who listen to the podcast and so many people who have approached us and said that they're enjoying it and they've gotten something from it. We have about 300 people that listen to it each week.
You did. Now that I'm on it, it's gonna.
I know it's gonna just skyrocket. So I really want to just take the time to thank you. When we started the podcast, I really had no idea if one person would hear it. So I really hope it's helping people. I know it's helping me. It's definitely serving as a form of therapy in some way, just to finally free myself of some things that I've been holding on to. And I think that can be very freeing for people. So I encourage you to do the same. Find someone that you can share some things with, or start a podcast and blast it to the world. One or the other.
Either way.
So I wanted to start with Stephen telling us a little bit about his medical history, which is not your actual medical history, your history with medicine.
My background?
Your background. Thank you.
You were working on that for a little while.
My coffee's too hot to drink.
Take 4?
We don't do edits.
I know. I'm worried about that.
Yeah, it's okay.
You know, I've got a potty mouth. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to cut that part out. Okay. So tell us a little bit about what brought you to being a physician associate and.
Okay. Well, I think I always had an affinity for medicine and it always interested me. And I don't know that I figured out that I wanted to pursue it as a career until I was starting to hit college. And I took an EMT class in Loveland, Colorado, and it was pretty thrilling and cool.
And you went to college for?
Exercise physiology and biology, double major. But yeah, we were on the ambulance and we were bringing some, seeing some cool stuff and hauling some people to the ER. And for over a year, I thought that the provider that was accepting a lot of my patients was a physician. Come to find out, he was a PA, and I didn't even know what it was. Excuse me. So, all of my friends were prepping for med school. It was daunting, I'm like, well, I'm just going to do that. And then I did a little research on the PA thing, and I thought, wow, because I always felt like I was an entrepreneur as well. Mm-hmm. What a cool blend that could be. So the more I researched it, the more I was intrigued, and then I started looking into schools, and that's kind of how that was seeded. And I started really, I don't remember his name, but I started really, talking to this gentleman that was, and just kind of watching what he was doing. And I'm like, what is he not doing that the physician's doing? That's pretty cool. Yeah. Had the white coat on, and I was really interested in emergency medicine. So that spawned the medical interest, but it also spawned me being on an ambulance and in helicopters and really diving deep into trauma and emergency medicine.
Mm-hmm. And so Stephen and I connected. People have asked how we met each other, and I think I may have talked about this on another episode. Not that I was talking about you, but so he's from Fort Collins, which he said, and went to CU Boulder for college, and came out to the East Coast where we connected to go to Wake Forest University, which is where you got your physician's associate.
Yeah, it used to be called Bowman Gray School of Medicine.
Oh, yeah.
They did a little name change. So
yeah. So what landed you at Wake Forest versus any other PA school?
I kind of just did a deep dive on the schools out there, and I really liked. They had a very unique learning style. Very group oriented, like interactions with people, which I like. it's kind of crazy. You would actually take these big exams as an individual, and then you would break out into groups, and you would discuss it all, and then you would take an exam and get graded, not as heavily graded.
Like in a group setting, that's cool.
Yep. So, and then one thing I really liked about Wake Forest was they allowed you to set up your own um, kind of residencies where you're going out for 6 weeks, at a time, and, at different parts of the country. And I love that because, I got to of course, I wanted to come back to Colorado. So I did several rotations out here, but I got to kind of network with some of the trauma programs. That was an exciting one. I did that up in Bridgeport, Connecticut. The National Guard had just left there because of all the drive-by shootings, and that's of course where I wanted to do trauma ER.
Wow, that's intense.
It was crazy. They didn't let you leave the facility. They would not let you leave.
But didn't you smuggle a bike in
I did.
and leave a few times?
That was not a good idea. I did leave. I left to go to H&R Block to do my taxes with the beeper on and my scrubs, and I knew I was not necessarily supposed to be doing that. And of course, right when I was in front of this nice lady in a little cubicle, my trauma beeper went off, and that was one of the cooler things that ever happened because I zoomed back to the hospital, and it was a multiple shooting, multiple patients, and
Wow.
I was heavily involved in some of those surgeries.
That experience, I can't imagine that experience. And for those of you who are not medical professionals, it may sound a little interesting the way that we talk about medicine or that some medical providers talk about medicine being exciting. And it is definitely a sad situation when things like that happen. But the opportunities for us to be involved in things like that, like I worked at the cardiac ICU for 6 years.
Yep.
At Atrium, and I can't imagine not having that experience. And so when I say those experiences are amazing, they really were amazing. Um, just for me and my, being able to help other people, being able to learn and better serve my future patients, So anyway, I just want to clarify that's all of this, like medicine just geeks us up, and it's exciting.
Well, it's really the only way to learn. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
not in the situation, how do you deal with the situation when it may be just you having to deal with it later on in your career? So, those open opportunities rather than just going into some easy thing, let's get through this, let's breeze through. And,
Right.
I remember OB, which I did at Forsyth Hospital in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I chose that one because the guy was really cool. And he was like, I don't treat MD, PA any different. Like, if you get to the bedside first, you can deliver the baby. And my eyes just kind of got bright. I'm like, wow, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So I ended up delivering more than anybody, any of the residents. I delivered 33 babies,
Oh.
and that was pretty cool too. Just that whole process.
Yeah.
And then I went out into the world and was working different shifts in an ER, and I had to deliver babies in the back of cars or in the ER, and I was comfortable.
Yeah. And thank God, because he almost had to deliver our son Mo in the
Oh my
car.
gosh. Yeah.
That's another story for another podcast, but I felt very comfortable with his abilities if that had to have happened, which it came very close to happening.
That's Mo for you.
That's Mo. He flew into this world like a thunder.
Yep. He's awesome.
And so how did you land? Because at this point, you've been at Ortho Carolina, which is an orthopedic practice, for 25 years. So we do make our time, we split our time between Colorado and North Carolina with our medical practice, which we'll talk about in a minute. But you've still been able to maintain that relationship with Ortho Carolina. And so he works several days a month at Ortho Carolina. But tell him a little bit about what you do for Ortho Carolina.
Yeah, I'm kind of just that jack of all trades guy that can jump into the room when I'm in town, which is great because it's a large practice and we do a lot of different things from spine to pediatric to sports medicine, total joints, hand. We have a hand division, just does hand, and they're all just different skills. And they were gracious enough to let me float around and help all these guys. So when I never know what I'm going to get when I'm in town. It's just kind of fun.
which is cool. And part of what is the benefit of like how much experience you've had prior, like with the ER and with all of it. I mean, it's really amazing.
Well, and ironically, I had an orthopedic injury that ended my career in emergency medicine, and I'm fine. But it took me out for a couple of months, and then Fran and I, who had already been friends, they'd already been kind of luring me because I had to call them anytime I had orthopedic trauma. I would go to them. So I already knew a lot of the different surgeons. In fact, one of them did my Achilles tendon rupture, and I just called him on the phone. I'm like, okay, I was playing basketball.
You
Yeah,
work with some great people.
yeah,
You really do.
yeah. He didn't even see me. He's just like, just don't eat after midnight. I'll fix it in the morning.
Yeah.
But I was out for 6 weeks and did a career change.
That's very cool. And in this whole thing, okay, so I think I talked about this on another podcast about how you and I connected, right? So I think I told that story. Did you hear that one?
Which one was what was it entitled?
You haven't heard all my
I think
podcasts?
the only one that I haven't heard
I'm
is
just kidding.
narcissism. I might need to listen to that.
Okay, well, this might be a long day. I'm just kidding. Um, but no, there was one episode that I did about how you and I reconnected and that my friend put me on
Oh
Match.com.
yes, I did hear that.
And he was on Match.com and his scrub pictures. And I was like, this guy's just full of it. Just, I really did not believe that you were in medicine. So, but come to find out he was, and he has this amazing history with medicine. But the other side of him, which is what I knew, was Party Bus Steve.
Mm.
So, Stephen, talk about being an entrepreneur. I love seeing his entrepreneurial spirit, and it's been really cool to see. So, he had or has a bus company. So it used to be party buses, limos. They had a double decker bus that would run around downtown Charlotte, which is pretty cool. Now they've kind of all grown up, quite literally, right? For the most part. So he and his business partner have kind
Never.
of grown to a new place where they started getting college campus contracts. So they're nationwide, which is awesome. So the buses just take kids to and from their campus classes and back to their apartments, and they're hired by the apartment complexes, which is really cool. So it started in Charlotte. It's like everywhere now. Arizona. Yeah, I'm trying to think all the locations, but anyway, it's been a really cool, venture to see him do that, and then he also, owns the Carolina Grace yacht that's on Lake Norman. So it's a 100-foot yacht charter boat that I started with them. That's another whole 'nother story, but I started helping them for a little bit because I had a flexible nursing job and, loved it, learned a ton about event planning and managing a company, and, um, that was a very cool time of our lives to get to work together in that way. And I think that started, in my brain, us wanting to work together and that we really enjoyed like coming up with ideas and being creative. So fast forward and go through a couple of different things that we tinkered in. And I taught middle and high school chorus, which is another story. I think I may have mentioned that, but did that for 6 years in between working at the hospital and starting our company. I've always been a weight loss coach. I mean, it's been 15, 16 years I've been doing that. But starting Thin Space Wellness with you I just feel complete. Like I feel I loved every step of my way and every step of my journey. And I feel like it served me well when I was there, but I knew when it was time to do something different.
Mhm.
Um, Teaching at the middle and high school with those kids was one of the best times of my life. I mean, amazing. Our two older boys went to school there, so I got to teach them. I miss those kids so much. I really do. And I can't pinpoint like why it was time to leave. I do I do remember the program growing so much that I was going to need to go full time and I couldn't do that
Mhm.
because there were so many other things with our company growing that I needed to do. But anyway, this is about you. Sorry.
Well, the leadership changed at the school, and yeah, they're wanting more from you, and we were starting to fire up some thoughts on helping people and forming a practice, and didn't that all kind of come to fruition around my mom's illness?
Yep, it sure did. So, all right. So let's see. We can go in like several different directions here because I don't want to make this way too long. However, let's start talking about Thin Space Wellness, and then we're going to pause game and then we'll do another podcast about what thin space wellness is, or maybe it should just be one and the same.
Yeah.
What's our time looking like? Yeah, we're at 15 minutes. So why don't we talk about how thin space wellness came to be? And then we'll continue the conversation as a part two. We'll do a part two to this one, so it's not too long for people to listen to.
Well, I think I pulled you into that world a little bit as far as the aesthetic side.
Oh, yeah. Talk about that. That's part of your history.
So I have a friend. We didn't actually go to graduate together, but I have a friend who has an aesthetic practice about 45 minutes away. And she is a workaholic. She's brilliant. And I knew her through Debbie, my business partner's wife. And I just the question got popped, as far as like, would you be willing to learn how to like do aesthetics?
Because she was going on a mission trip for like a month, right?
She was
She
like,
does some amazing things. And
for her church.
yeah.
And she didn't take time off. And so there's no one to cover her. Well, Todd, I think, came in, but he was working for a different practice. But anyway, I love a new challenge and didn't know anything about it. So next thing I know, I had all these reps lined up, and she was just quickly trying to, run me through aesthetics, Botox. I'm like, okay. So there was a lot of learning, and then she was off, and her practice did everything. I mean, she was doing women's health, and you'd come in with the flu, and she'd treat you. But I said, well, just keep me in that lane. I'll do your injections. I'll do your weight loss, and I'll just take some time off of North Carolina and come up while you're gone.
That's really cool.
So I learned a lot.
You stayed after that experience. You stayed there, and you're kind of part time for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
COVID hit and kind of changed some things, and I feel like that's when COVID hit. That's kind of when we had the time to really process through creating thin space wellness, what we wanted it to be, and my side of aesthetics, like I've always loved wellness. I mean, obviously, like I absolutely love wellness. I love helping people feel the best they can to get unstuck, to get to a healthy weight, to get to a place where they feel like they're the most well that they can be, if that makes sense. So it's always been my passion. And when Stephen was working part time up at the other clinic, they needed models, and duh, who's going to go up? I will. So I learned all about Botox and fillers and all the things, and loved learning about the things that they were doing. And so I wanted to inject myself, not myself, but inject as an injector. I do inject myself sometimes. I'll tell you about it. But
I've done it too.
oh, sneak in a little Botox here and there.
That mirror in the shower works really well.
Really?
Yeah.
For injections?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Try that sometime. Anyway. But yeah, so that's kind of where our passion for the aesthetic side came from. And, the wellness side has always been there, I think, for both of us, starting with exercise, kinesiology in college, and loving learning about the human body and being able to help people. I mean, I think is the gist of what he and I both had passions about in life.
Well, and I learned a lot from you, through your Ironman training and, just just the dietary stuff that you were focused with, because you had some issues with your body doing those intense workouts. So you modified your diet a lot with your coach.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would jump on different trains with you with keto or whatever. And we kind of explored all of those realms of dietary change and what it does with your body. And
which led to the functional medicine path that we've taken, where we really dive into nutrition and what you're putting into your body before we even start looking at medicines. Because food is medicine, right? So
the number one.
Doing elimination diets with people, with ourselves. And this is okay. I'll talk about this just because I do have a colonoscopy scheduled for next Tuesday, which I'm sure I'll talk about at some point. But when I was training for Ironman, what he's referring to is I had some major GI distress that every time I would run a marathon at mile 20, I'd have to find a porta-john, and to not be graphic, I would be on the porta-john for a very long time, and there was some blood involved, a lot of blood. So I had some GI distress, and they diagnosed me eventually having ischemic colitis, which is from oxygen not getting to your intestines while you're doing endurance exercises. So when I started training for the Ironman, I was talking with my coach about it. He was like, "Oh, let's put you on the paleo diet." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I knew what the paleo diet was. I dabbled in it before, but I had not had an issue since then. Ironman, I went through and I completely changed my fuel for the race, but I didn't have one issue in Ironman.
Didn't you fuel a marathon with hot tamales at one point in time?
The New York City Marathon, that was my sister-in-law and I did the marathon together, and she had read that one of the like number one runners in the world uses hot tamales.
Oh my God.
And that was one of the worst episodes on the Porta John.
Oh,
Believe it or not, I will never do that again. Oh my gosh. Anyway, but so we do things that are hard on our body, and you have to support your body with what it needs. So I've learned through all of our experiments on ourselves with nutrition, I don't handle dairy well. Do I still eat dairy sometimes? Yes. I just know I'm going to feel a little bloated, have a little indigestion. But doing these dietary challenges with yourself and figuring out what works for your body is one of the things that I love that we do because it can change people's lives. Gluten intolerances, dairy. I mean, there's so many that affect people and they don't even realize what's causing their inflammation, causing their diet or their GI distress.
the testing that they have in the functional medicine side is brilliant.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
The food sensitivity testing, and
Mhm.
I mean, it just opened up a whole new world, I think, for our patients, for us, just to understand. I mean, it's a lab test.
Because knowledge is king. Like
Mm.
once you know, you can make decisions that can increase your longevity or not. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, and then it's all about feeling better and eating the right things and getting your exercise in. It's just a very simple blend that it's not as easy as you think
yeah,
until you, again, have the knowledge.
yeah. And the knowledge and support, which is one of my favorite pieces of what we do with everything that we do with the company, is just making sure that our patients have support and access to us anytime so that they can be successful at their goals, which is ultimately longevity and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, is there anything else you want to add about your medical history, your experiences?
Well, I have kind of a funny side on that is when I discontinued working up there after COVID and everything else, you were like, "How are we going to get Botox?
Oh yeah,
We can't order it.
sorry.
You have to admit
Botox
it."
is a little bit addictive. Botox is amazing. It's like the gateway drug to just like knowing what's possible. And I think people are scared of Botox, but if you've never tried Botox, I highly suggest you try it once and just experience what it can do. It's amazing. Just for the way you feel inside.
Yeah.
It's not just about like looking pretty on the outside. It's about like how you feel inside. And I feel so much better with Botox. Yeah, I was concerned about that.
Yeah. We needed to get our stuff, but anyway, so yeah, I think that's pretty much the simplified version of wanting to help people be able to just not just work independently together
Yeah.
and doing something we both love and
Yeah.
wanted to explore at a deeper level.
And I feel like all of it's been very God led,
Mhm.
very Nana led, which we'll talk about Nana on this second portion of this episode. But
Well, seeing you down here on this couch reminds me of a lot of that,
yeah.
because this is where I found you one morning when you were working on her obituary
Oh, I forgot about that.
right here.
I was right in this very seat.
Yep,
Oh,
that was very sweet.
okay. That's for the next episode. We'll explain when we get there.
Yeah,
Here's to Nana.
love you, Nana.
And Thin Space Wellness and Thin Spaces. And to you, I love you. Thank you for doing this journey with me. Thank you for waking up early with me
Mm-hmm.
and doing the podcast. So we will be back next Wednesday. We'll be back today, but you'll get to hear this next Wednesday. We'll do the second part of this episode to continue talking about Thin Space Wellness and how that came about and what it means to us and what it means to other people.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. You guys have a great week. Thank you for joining us this Wellness Wednesday. We'll see you next week.
Bye.